tell you, is there a real need to actually promote kopitiam coffee? So that's the main issue today, right? So that being said, people may want to present a couple of rebuttals for you. Came up today and told us that, like major parts of the debate was the opening side was about economics. Actually, it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, every dollar that you spend, 7% is going to go to the government, regardless where you spend it. So I mean, that being said, we say that money is never an issue. And especially when you see like every Singaporean, anybody is able, most of us are able to actually afford a cup of Starbucks. So it doesn't really matter. So it does come down to one fact, whether it's going to be branding or not. Because simply you say Starbucks, something that's a brand, something that's a society. Okay, we can't use our calculus is really clouded by the branding out there. We say definitely Starbucks is always an option for you when it comes to coffee. Because why would you go to kopitiam? Because it's going to be a place filled with old men, old aunties, and why would I do that? Because I mean Starbucks today, but the youth benefits will be at SAL actually. Consider before. So originally there, right? And then we move on, right? I mean, let's look at it. What have we created as a society as a whole? We used to have like our Geylang steamboats, our Katong laksas, our Punggol nasi lemak, all these stuff. They used to be there in Singapore and now they're disappearing slowly. They relocated. The demand is still there, but more and more people, they try to find the food, but they can't find it. Simply by the fact that the kind of modernization they get brought into Singapore, the kind of brandings that we have right now. When it comes to coffee, no longer people think about kopitiam or your normal coffee shop aunties. It comes down to maybe your TCCs or your Robert Tim's or maybe even your Starbucks coffees. These are the things that come out there because your brandings out there. Because it comes to the fact that the society is so materialistic, they're forgetting the locality that we have, the kind of authenticity that we have. And that's why we see that there's a need for us to promote. I mean, like, it comes to the point where is it really about the branding alone or about our culture? And not only about culture, but the coffee making, the appreciation of coffee. So if you look at the society right now, right, in a modernized society, coffee is no longer made the way that we used to make in Singapore, where we used to use socks of people, we used to use socks to actually drain the coffee from the beans. We used to use traditional methods to get the coffee so that the coffee has much greater flavor compared to what we have right now. Well, now you see the modernized society, right? We're using espresso machines everywhere. People are trying to make coffee as much as possible. Trying to move to the society where you're putting coffee something into a Western kind of Western introduction to us. Not something that's local anymore, something that makes the local identity totally disappear from Singapore. Yes, we agree that Singapore is not a country that's, they have this unique Singaporean identity. We are something that is mixed up together. Yes, this sounds patriotic, but yeah, it's the truth, right? I mean, like, we make sure that, yeah, there's a mixture of culture. We want to preserve everything possible. We want to preserve Starbucks as well as kopitiam. But the only thing that we see right now, there's a real need to save our kopitiam and our local industries. Because they're really suffering right now due to the fact that now people are more clouded by the brandings out there, and the promotions out there, and the spinners out there by Starbucks. Before moving on, yes.
I can't believe we just spent 3 minutes lying to all of us. We know that Singaporeans go after food. We have food blogs, we have TV shows about food, and we have ratings for food even. And we even have tweet directives for food.
Yeah, it's true, but the moment you realize that companies no longer could sustain, they start closing down. The moment you realize that the consumer market is not there anymore, or lesser people are now going to their shops, they have no choice but to close down. And that's the thing that we're talking about today. We don't want any more kopitiams to close down. We don't want Singapore to become a country that's going to be dominated by all these franchises that come over from the Western nations. We want something that is unique. We need the blend of all nations, right? We need the Starbucks coffee. We want the traditional coffee. We want everything possible out there. We want to make sure that there's an equality between the two so that you can preserve both of them up to the very end, preserve the culture of Singapore. Because right now we see the kopitiams are disappearing from the map to Singapore. We see that more and more local delicacies are disappearing. And that's the thing that we're trying to say today. And that being said, right, we also say that it's not only about that, right? It's about the importance that comes to Starbucks and kopitiam. You say that the jobs that you're expecting, right? Essentially, yes, both companies offer the same amount of jobs for yourself. And it's only that what we're trying to do right now is that we're trying to promote both of them. We're not trying to shut down anybody or discriminate anybody. We're just trying to make sure that more and more youth will understand the value of kopitiam, understand the value of investing in kopitiam and the local market, so that we can actually create the boost and encouragement for local and new companies to start up and not switch to modern techniques, so that we can still preserve the authenticity that we have when it comes to our local coffees. And that being said, right, already despite you that on the economics level, it doesn't really matter because, we're still going to spend 7% of every dollar that we're going to spend out there. And second, we already told you that in terms of the authenticity, we get a greater authenticity when it comes to kopitiam, when it comes to coffee appreciating, when it comes to actually the taste and the flavor of coffee. And third of all, we told you is about the culture, the greater culture when it comes to Singapore. What is unique in Singapore? What is the identity of Singapore? You want that authenticity to be out there. You want people to appreciate the local coffees. We told you all these things, and that's why we say the closing. Thank you.